First of all, I'm trying to document the process. So that's part of it. And I'm also trying to be transparent about what I'm trying to do. So this week, I've been running some ads on Facebook pointing to a course that I made about learning how to read music for the piano. And it's called Piano Notes Bootcamp. And that's my kind of entry-level course that I've made. And I'm really kind of proud of it. I think it's like a cute little course, and I think it would be super helpful for people. And anyway, the ad I ran on Facebook, it kind of demonstrates that the way I'm teaching it, I turn the music staff so it's vertical. And it was like people, this was too much for people. Like people either liked the ad or they hated it. So that's actually good news. So for me to turn the staff sideways, for a lot of people are like, this makes absolutely no sense. There's no way that you should possibly do this. I heard the word snake oil in there. I heard other insults in there that were kind of alarming how intense people got about it. There's also like really positive things too. And it really feels like validating when other piano teachers get on there and be like, and they say, yeah, I show my students this all the time. Like this is kind of, I turn the music sideways and kind of show them how it lines up to the keyboard. It's like, okay, I didn't invent this idea, this concept of looking at the staff vertically. I just think it needs to be a more common approach. Most people running Facebook ads are just small business owners, and they're trying desperately to like get their business off the ground and like make a profit if they can. When we're interacting with a Facebook ad that we hate, we're like, get this out of here. I hate this. This is so dumb. The owner will see your comment and then get super defensive and like kind of hop on there because, oh, this is my business. This is my baby. I have to like defend it. And so then they put themselves in this really defensive position. All the things that you'd want to say to people who are like, this is a stupid idea. And so I don't like reading those comments. It kind of makes you feel crappy, but I recognize it's actually a good thing. It's a good thing that people don't like it. It's a good thing to be controversial. And that, I think I was pretty well mentally prepared for that concept. It surprised me when it happened still, like, oh, people find this stupid or they don't agree with it. The people that do appreciate it and seem to like it, they seem to be outnumbering the people that don't like it. And so I'm happy about that. We have this idea that if I see an ad, I have to beware of scammers on Facebook. Well, I have every incentive in the world to be honest and to get people like if I'm running an ad and somebody like bought it and they're like come back over to and they're like, I got to the other side of this paywall and he's not even teaching piano over there. He's just like nothing. There's nothing over there. I just like paid $37 and it was like there was nothing over there. How quickly would that get shut down? Like how quickly would I lose all the money that I put into the ads? Like I don't think people quite understand that you have to pay for a person to buy your course, right? There's a certain amount of money that you put towards that. And it's like, it's a lot of money to get a person to like actually buy a course that you made. And so I have every incentive to like make it good and to deliver for the people that show up. And when they pay me, it makes me super motivated to like make more content for them and try to help them the best I can. Piano players are so often insistent. They just insist that this is hard to do, that it takes so many years and you have to dedicate so much time and practice to it. And yeah, of course, to get good at anything, you have to put time and practice and energy to it. What if we could just learn more deliberately? You know, like it might have been hard for you. It might have been hard for your experience. Like you had a hard time doing it. And then you like got through all these like, you know, obstacles in your way and then became a proficient pianist. But I think for the most part, you can pick this up if you just know how to approach it deliberately. Some people are just better at studying. Some people are just smarter. So what if you could like access those people and ask them what they're doing to study that is helpful for them and what's going on in their mind as they take tests and learn from that and then approach your next test like that. Like when we see someone who does well in school, we don't go, oh, you must have spent so much time and energy and failed so much to get good at school. It could just be that they're smarter. So why don't we look at the people who are getting it and appreciate how they're doing it and then access it, that like study what they're doing and learn how to approach approach the skill, whatever the skill is, deliberately like they are. So I just think that there's this weird stigma around playing the piano. I would get frustrated if I wasn't making like some satisfying progress on something after about 6 months. If I couldn't fall in love with it in 6 months or so, I would quit. I would for sure quit. I don't want my lifestyle to be like, oh, this is just pain and suffering until one day, 20 years later, it's actually good. If you took piano lessons and you did well with it and you're now a proficient pianist, you must be smart. And if you did poorly with it, then you must have been a lazy, stupid kid. I don't like that approach. And I don't like that argument because it's not how it works. I think it just means that some people found a helpful solution. They found a helpful approach and they saw results and they kept doing that one thing. And sometimes they can stumble on it accidentally, or they just kind of intuitively knew how to approach it like that. Or they had a mentor or a teacher that really insisted, like, do it like this. And other times you've got people who their tendency was to be a little bit more creative with it. Their tendency was to get frustrated with it. Their tendency was to get too absorbed in how overwhelming it was. And they weren't able to like pinpoint exactly what it was they were working on. That could lead to someone who spent even years in piano lessons and didn't get a lot done, and just had this buildup of frustration that's going on. But so I don't like that we do that with the piano, but we don't tend to do that with school very much. It's like, okay, oh, you're smart and you're dumb. We don't look at the smart kid and go, oh, you must have like gone through so many failed tests and you must have overcome so many challenges and you must have put in so much more effort. Maybe they were just better at taking tests. Maybe they were just better at the approach that they took to study, not necessarily doing much more. They just knew what was helpful and did that. When we apply that to the piano, I think there's better approaches. There's good approaches that help and that make you good at it, and there's approaches that like aren't helpful. I say this a lot too, and I really believe it, that deliberateness is the key to practicing anything. So if you're learning a skill, piano, whatever it is, deliberateness is the most important part of that. Like it's like taking an approach, saying, I'm going to do this, and then consistently doing it deliberately. There's intensity and there's intention. That's what deliberateness means. If you're approaching something deliberateness, you're choosing a sustainable intensity, and hopefully it's something that's a little bit challenging, but not so challenging that you just quit because you overdid it, right? So there's a deliberate intensity and there's a deliberate intention. Exactly what is it that you wanted to get done and move on. Deliberate practice is focused. It tends to be gentle, okay? Because it needs to be. If you overdo it, if you get all like anxious and frustrated about it, you'll quit. So if you're going to be deliberate about something, you have to like be patient with it. It's patient. It's energy affirming. Like, okay, I've got energy today to do X amount, and I'm going to do at least that and see if I can do a little bit more. That's good. Whereas there's a bad intensity that you can have where it's like, I'm just super focused and I'm going to approach this with all my intensity, and you tend to burn out and quit after a little while too, because that builds up this negative emotion of like impatience, and you get frustrated because you feel like it should be going faster and you want to approach it really fast, and you punish yourself and you deny the energy state that you have, right? So a lot of times when we approach something, if I sit down to do some work, I could be in a mood where it's like, great, my energy is here and I'm focused and I'm going, and use that to my best benefit. That's great. You're not going to feel like that all the time. You're not going to feel like that every day. And so if you show up to work and get some work done and your energy is lower, I think it just takes some affirmation. It just takes some like going, okay, here's the energy I have. How can I approach this with the energy that I have right now and do something? Because I think if you're deliberate, you're not all or nothing. You're like, okay, here's the intensity that I have and I can approach it, right? I think focus is actually easy if we allow ourselves to do it. Like, it's more of like, okay, I'm going to allow myself to focus on these things. I'm going to allow myself to come back to this if I want to get distracted. So yeah, I guess that can be a little bit tricky. But in some ways, it's kind of a relief. It's like, I'm going to allow myself to not think about that and that and that and that. All I have to do is focus on this one thing. And that is, to me, a beautiful thing. I think we need more of that in the world. So what is it exactly that I want to do? Like, I want to be a singer-songwriter. That's mostly what I want to be. Like, I would like to be able to sing songs, write songs, record songs, And I would like to be a singer-songwriter that makes money doing that. So what I'm doing now is I'm building a business around teaching music because there's a demand for it and it's acceptable. People will pay money for that. I have expertise in it, and nobody can say anything about it that will hurt my feelings to the point where I would feel discouraged about it, right? I want to learn how to run a business with something that I'm a little bit more emotionally detached from, right? So if somebody's like my Facebook ads, like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, you should never approach it like this, I'd be like, fine, you feel that way, I don't care. That kind of goes back to this approach, this idea of like, you never really should put anything on the internet. You never should put anything out there that you're not okay with people like making fun of. So that's why I use Instagram for my family very carefully, very minimally. Okay. But if I put something out there, it's like just me teaching piano and somebody's like, that's the stupidest approach. I'm like, great. I'm not your teacher. That's okay. And it won't hurt my feelings. It won't get me down. But if I put a song out there and people are like, this is the dumbest song I've ever heard, why would you want me to pay money to like get the package that you're selling along with this song? This is stupid. It might hurt my feelings. I need to know the system of business before I try to do that with my music. That becomes a way of isolating the skill that I want to practice. So that is how I'm applying the principle of isolation. So if you're practicing the piano and you need to make some improvement, the point is, or the approach you need to take is to isolate something that you need to work on, ignore all the distractions and isolate it and focus on learning that one skill. And so that's what I'm doing with my business. Right now I'm isolating running a business that delivers digital assets to people, digital goods, digital products. And eventually I'd like to do that with my songwriting. So I'd like to write a song, make a music video of it, and of course, put it out there, publish it for free, and then have an offering that's associated with it, which might be other writings, other videos, behind the scenes type things, discussing the process or what the song is about, asking even for donations or patrons to go on there, and just kind of having that be a business of it. That's the goal. That's the plan anyway. I want to talk about the song that I just put out. It's on YouTube. It's called Put Together, and it's a song about, really, I think it's about unwittingly having been given responsibility that you didn't really expect to have. And I think that's what adulthood is about, right? So it's kind of about, I'm turning 40, kind of really grappling with that. I didn't expect to kind of have a midlife crisis about 40. This is what this is like. Life is busy, and I feel like I've got a lot of responsibility, and I feel like there's a lot of things that I want to do still with my life. And kind of looking back and not necessarily having regrets or wishing I can always say I wish I'd approached things differently. I wish I'd been a little bit easier on myself. I wish I'd been more focused on certain things. But nothing big, nothing dramatically. I'm like, oh, I wish I'd never done this. But it's more of a lament about the current responsibilities and roles that I have in my life and the people I'm supposed to influence. And suddenly people are asking me questions and having kids. If you have kids, it's they're asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't want to make your lunch. So you're in charge of caring for people. And that can feel like a lot of responsibility. Caring for people is exhausting. So responsibility is exhausting. And I think when we're kids, when we're younger, I used to look at 40 and think, oh, when I'm 40, I'll be running the world. I'll be one of those people that's running the world. And I think there's just a role you step into out of necessity. Responsibility is out of necessity. It's not nobody wants responsibility. Nobody's oh yeah, I want to be in charge. I don't know. That's not me. It's not my personality to want that, but it's turning out that I have to be in charge of things. And that takes a little bit of growing up. So I've done some growing up this year as I approach 40. And so, that's what this song is about.